Hey Neppers, it's me, Wild Neptune. It is the hunt video. So, in this video, I will be going over the first 4 hunts in Wyvern, Golem, Banshee, and Asthmatic. I will give a basic team for all 4 of them with some pretty basic gearing overall, and just go through on how each of them function and some alternative heroes you can use on the teams if you don't happen to have them. This is not meant to be an in-depth guide to any individual hunt, just an overview for the very early game on what you can do and use for them. Of course, this is meant to be a companion guide to the Epic 7 Time series, so I appreciate it if you give that a watch also after you finish with this. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, or just want to support the channel also. Thank you for the support, and now, let's get going. First up, we have the Wyvern hunt, and this is a hunt that you should be farming first and foremost. Definitely want to get a lot of stuff, especially the speed set from this hunt, before you move on to other ones in mass. So we have a pretty basic team right here, using Sigrid, Furious, Alexa, and our Rose right here. Now, the Wyvern hunt is a hunt that's been around for a long time, and several teams and heroes for it have been released. This is no means the ideal team. We were not lucky in our previous episodes here, and we did not get the Mui, so we ended up raising Alexa here, who is, albeit very strong, but does make it a little bit harder at first to do the hunt. Now, this Alexa is specially changed, but you don't have to specially change her. Now, it is important to get her to 65% effectiveness if you can, because she has 2 poisons for 2 turns on her kit, which will come into play in the fight. The Rose here just got some gear and full health set right here. Also, this artifact, Sword of Ezra, very good if you're a knight for tanking bosses like the Wyvern. You can buy 1 copy from your Hall of Trial shop. You should have enough currency to do that. Now, you know, if Rose, you can use Crozet or another knight like that. At this point in the game, you will probably be using your Grace of Growth on this slot right here. Of course, if you have, say, like a Brig, he is best in slot for the knight in this position. Your Sigrid will be from your Hunt Challenge event, and so once you get her, put her on, whatever gear you can. 65 effectiveness for the debuffs, of course. Debuffing the Wyvern is very important. And then the Furious, you can get from connections. If you want to, you can get the 55 stars to put on this EE, but not necessary. People were doing this with a level 40 Furious pre-EE. Stronger stars is best in slot, but of course you can use everything you want to if you don't have that. So let's pop into the fight and see how it goes. Start off with our fodder trash here. So the Furious has a crit boost and a defense break. That means you only have to build 35% plus whatever his imprint minus whatever his imprint is on each of your heroes, because the crit buck is 50. Your element advantage will give another 15, and that adds up to that 100 that you need. Now, you probably will not have optimized gear to get it to perfectly 35%, but just keep in mind, if you have like less than 85% crit with a Furious, that is perfectly fine. Now, obviously, if you don't have Furious, you will need that extra crit. So, see, Alexa is doing a lot of damage, and even more damage coming from the Sigrid here. Like, probably around, like, almost half health already. And this is basically on, for the Sigrid at least, the free attack gear. The Alexa's gear is a little bit better, but, we just, like, and there's the poisons, and it's like all that damage there already. The Wyvern's already almost dead. See, the Rose taking a lot of damage, but as long as your tank survives until, you kill the Wyvern, then it's perfectly fine. Now, this is doable with, say, Momo as a front line. You probably need Proof of Valor, and having Mui on that team makes it a lot safer, as Mui will have the push-up for you also. Other front lines that have been done are General Purgus has been done. So use that with the push as the Wyvern hits on Purgus, he gets pushed up and just do a lot of damage that way. That was another popular team back in the day. Of course, Brieg is a very, very good front line for basically all PvE things that are not grass based. So if you have to have him, he's going to be very good. Next, we will look at the Golem Hunt. So this is the team that I used for Golem, I believe. We have our Adventurer Raz. Special change, of course, with our free health gear. Nothing really special. Nice to have this 65% effectiveness too. This wasn't on purpose or anything. It just happened to line up that way. So pretty fortunate there for the defense break, potentially. We have a Zealot Carmen Rose. So this is the hero that is actually going to be, I would say, the best geared out of all of them right now, as we do have some event gear. We have this rain gear, which is pretty good. We have this reforged piece. But when I did it the first time, I definitely wasn't this well geared. So you can get by with a lot less. She gets an effectiveness boost on her skill set, so you don't really have to build that much effectiveness on her. Just have some damage and a little bit of bulk, so just die by some of the counter attacks that Golem does. Our Tamarin, of course, still free health gear with the arena health 2 sets right there also. And our Iseria, just some random stuff we have. This is arena. This is actually a pretty good Soul Weaver piece actually I have on her just with the speed. Health stuff here from the event. And we have this weapon because I can't find the better one right now. Let's just go into it and see how it goes. So you can replace the Iseria if you don't have her with low DPS, like a Spectre that you probably have from your Moonlight Blessing. If you have Mercedes built, she's good also. Of course, you get Sirmia by doing the Golem Hunt challenge, and she's a hero that you will build eventually, as she is very strong for multiple aspects of PvE. But this, I would say, is the most accessible free-to-play way to do your initial Golem, as you have 2 3-stars, albeit you do have the special to change them, and you have your Iseria, who I assume you picked up from your selective summon when you started the game, and your Tamarin, who we get on your story banner. Of course, if you don't have your Iseria, again, replacement Spectre Tenebria, any other DPS too. Like most hunts, your main DPS, in this case, your Zealot Carmen Rose, should be on Daydream Joker. Iseria, Song of Stars is best in slot, but any other artifact really works on her. So, the actual Golem fight is pretty straightforward. You do attack, you hit it, and it gets this little stack here thing, and it can counter-attack you once it reaches full stacks, and it'll have a chance to defense break you and to stun you, and everything like that, which is not the nicest thing in the world. And you can get kind of unlucky, like right here. I say I'm getting a little bit unlucky too. The tree also heals him, which is annoying, but it doesn't heal him that much, so we can definitely damage through it. The crystal gives him an attack buff, so that can make the unbuffable that the Iseria gives you pretty popular, pretty good. And the unhealable that Zealot Carmen Rose has on her kit can also be pretty decent. Now, the first time you do this, you probably will not have Zealot Carmen Rose and a Raz both finished, right? So let me stop it right here. And I actually think he's going to die. Is it going to die? Yes, so that was actually really fast. Zealot Carmen Rose is very, very good for Light Expo. I use her on my main account in that content, so don't sleep on her. Very strong unit. And your A-Raz in Abyss and in other PvE too is also going to be a mainstay for your team, at least for the time being. Now we have our Banshee Hunt, and our Banshee Hunt will use 2 of the same units in our Tamarin and our Iseria, so they'll have the exact same gear as we had last time. We also have our Spectre Tenebria here, who is rocking this set, still the free attack set, and this arena gear that we have. And also this A Momo, who I basically just took most of Raz's gear. I kind of just tossed it onto her, so here we go. If possible, if you can't get 200 ER that's really good, but not necessary. Just get as much as you can. Any artifact is fine. Magahara's Tome is probably the best, but my Magahara Tome is on Tamarin, so this Idol Shear that I have is perfectly serviceable. This is one where if you're not one-shotting it, having 2 cleansers is pretty good overall. And I would not farm this too much to start with, at least until you can get the Rage Gear from your Asthmatic Hunt, which we will also be going over too. But anyway, let's go into this one and see how it goes. The Banshee Hunt itself is one of the slower hunts to farm, unfortunately, especially if you're not one-shotting it. And when you're doing this for your hunt challenge, you will probably feel it, but just set it and forget it. Use your pet and stuff like that. There is some RNG involved, like not as much, but like a little bit of it, where sometimes you get like too many debuffs all at once, and that's why having some resist on your Momo and your Tamarin can be okay, but definitely not needed. And keep in mind too that when I did this the first time around, I had worse gear than I have now, so you can definitely do this with worse gear. You might need a couple more tries to do it, but definitely doable. So we go. So the Banshee, once it gets to, I believe it's 70%, it will, as we missed the defense right there, it will split into 4 Misty Rain Banshees, which you have to kill. So now this will take a while with this team. This is not a fast team or anything, but it is relatively safe. See right there, all this damage going by, but luckily our Momo is going to heal us here, and definitely having healing is very good. So try to have both healers, and definitely want that defense break too also. So I would say having Iseria for this team, especially if you have Tamarin on your team, is much more important than, say, the Golem Hunt overall. Keep in mind too that the Banshee does also heal a little bit when she hits non-grass units. So, if you can get a full grass team for this, that'll be pretty good, but not a necessity in the least. Of course, you do get your Vivian by doing this challenge, and Vivian is very good. So here we go. Here is the split, and you'll see that breaking the 4 Misty Chains. Now, you have to kill all 4 of them before the Banshee on the bar gets all the way to the bottom. And so every time you kill one of them, all the other ones will boost up and do a little attack here. But you should have enough damage and enough healing to survive them. They don't do that much damage to you. The Spectre here is going to kill both of them right there. And that was actually pretty close. That was a lot closer than I would have liked it to be. Again, there's some RNG here, like not having your Tamarins, idle form there for the push and everything to get it faster can kill you a few times. But again, this is not one of them that's going to be totally stable, I would say, but good enough, especially when you are in the early game. But like I was saying, units like Vivian are pretty good here, as it gives you that immunity to protect you against the poison and stuff like that. Vivian's also really good for future one-shot teams, which we will look at a little bit at the end of this video. But if you're watching this for guides for doing this, you won't be doing that for a long time, but it's a little something to look forward to in the future. Now, when the boss gets to right there, you see around like 40-ish%, 30%, I think it is, she will do another, Banshee Whale. She used to actually split again a second time, but they removed that part to make this go a little bit faster. And even now, you see this is pretty slow overall, which is why I don't really recommend farming this that much until you have the one-shot done. But just do those 20 times that you have to for the actual hunt challenge, and then just move on. Go back to Wyvern, because you're going to be farming that for a long time. And after you have like a decent amount of Wyvern gear, you'll also be going into your probably Asthmatic to get that rage gear that you need. But yeah, there we go. pretty straightforward, I think. And we can move on. Next, we have our Asthmatic Hunt. And this is the team that is, again, the most accessible, I believe, for just starting out. You have your A-Raz, your Tambourine, and your Iseria, who is on the same sets of gear as they were before. You also have your Mercedes, who, at this point, you should have cleared Episode 3 to get this artifact, Magic for Friends, which definitely helps her out. There are definitely a lot of replacements for this team, which we'll go over as during the fight, so let's get into it. This is another one where I believe the overall difficulty itself isn't that high, but it is one of the slower hunts to farm before you can one-shot it, unfortunately. And unfortunately, this is the hunt that you have to farm to start one-shotting hunts after this one. So, it will be some slow going at first. Now, there is not a hunt challenge related to this hunt, so you don't have to do it. This is just to proof of concept that you can do it when you get there. But if you want to farm this, this is a very easy team to get. There are definitely other units too that you can use. Keep in mind that the boss itself does have a couple of mechanics that you have to be aware of. So one of them is that it will summon these 2 eggs, and you have to kill the eggs in order to do significant damage to the boss. And that is why you have the Mercedes here to do some AoE. The next thing it does too is it will get this frenzy, this like buff thing that denoted by like an angry face when it attacks you. There we go, this berserk right here. And you have to try to strip off the berserk if possible. That's where having a strip like your I don't want to say it, well, but I guess Mercedes does have a strip, right, on RS2. But having your Iseria here, your A-Raz S1 for the strip, is also helpful. It also silences you too, which is very annoying. So if you can get to like 200 ER, as that is the ER you need, I believe, to resist the boss, can be pretty beneficial. So there is going to be some RNG here, definitely. The boss can do a lot of damage, which is not very good for you. Another thing you can do also, though, is instead of, say, Iseria, you can use your Kana. If you have her from the connections, you do have to be in a little bit past parts of Episode 3 to get it, but it is definitely a thing that you can use, especially if you have Bloodstone. Having Kana on Bloodstone is very good for this particular fight. As you see here, we're not doing that hot right now, but there we go. The Tambourine does get it out of form up just in time to push us forward and to heal us, I would say. Again, the gear required for this one is a little bit higher than the other hunts, as this one was made after the Golem, Banshee, and Wyvern hunts. So not as easy overall, but definitely I would say a much more loose number of heroes like you need for it. You can basically mix and match a lot of things. What's important here is having strips and having, you know, some decent healing, of course. And the defense break is also going to be nice to have. Also, your AoE to get rid of these eggs. In addition to that, Blood Moon Haste, who is pretty much bad for everything else, is very good for this fight going slow, because his passive does proc every time the eggs revive, which is pretty good. Now, should you get ML Haste just for that? No, you should not. But if you happen to have him, you know, there it is. You can do that. The one also really important thing too on this boss, like the Queen fight in Hell Raid, which we will get to eventually on this series, you cannot put more than 2 debuffs on this boss, because at the 3 debuffs, the boss will fully cleanse and will also get an extra turn. So make sure you only have 2 debuffs on. In this case, we have Target and we have our Defense Break, which is 2, but any more, and it'll be pretty bad news for us. So you see that what the boss is immune to here. So that also means that things like Spectre Tenebria are not that good. As you see right here, we are actually in danger because we did not strip enough stuff here. But it looks like we're just gonna barely kill, and we did it there. So once again, not the smoothest run in the world. Definitely, I believe if we had our Kana instead of, say, Iseria, it would be a little bit better because we had a little more healing, especially if we had our Bloodstone. But it is doable with this team. And keep in mind, too, you don't have to do this right now. You can definitely wait until you get better gear and just farm it then. And you probably want to do your Wyvern hunt a lot of times before you go into this, just to have that standard set of gear for your team. Anyway, I hope that little look at the hunts made it clear to you on that at least the first 3, Wyvern, Golem, Banshee, aren't that difficult at all, and even the Asthmatic hunt can be accessible very early on in the game. Again, I can't stress this enough, to do your Wyvern hunts a lot before you move on to other ones, of course, after you do your hunt challenges to get your free gear, your free heroes, and all those free goodies and stuff like that. Anyway, though, I'm Wild Neptune. It's been a good one. Nep out.